The Victorinox Super Tinker is an obvious EDC knife, very similar to the Climber with a different, somewhat unusual history. First, let's look at the configuration, then two very collectible editions, and I'll tell you why I say its history is unusual. So I invite you to take a look. Here we have the Victorinox Super Tinker E, identification number 1.4703. Very similar to the Climber, but in the Tinker family. Well, what does the Super Tinker have? Let's see right now. Let's start with the can opener. What does it have? It opens cans, Cos obviously, plus the screwdriver. On the other side, we're going to have the larger screwdriver E, bottle opener E, wire stripper or cable stripper. This knife doesn't sound very good, which shows that the spring is not working very well. Here we have the main blade, in this case rose fry. Still has the crossbow. On this side, the small blade. That I see is a bit strange. And here, we have the scissors, which is what makes it similar to the Climber and different from the Tinker. A reamer with an eyelet. If it has scissors and is after 91.0, it will have the multi-purpose hook without a file on these models. Here is the Phillips screwdriver, which makes it part of the Tinker family and differentiates it from the Climber, and in this case it already has a pin. On the body we have the ring. On the handle, the toothpick, and the tweezers. I just cut my nails before the video. Very good. Let's see the weight of this knife. 84.9, almost 85 grams. And the width will be, let's put it straight, and yes, 1.7 centimeters, 1.7 centimeters, or 170 millimeters. We're going to see two special editions that I am going to show us from the Winter Magic series.
Very good, everyone. How are you? I am going to bring you a couple of copies of the Super Tinker from the limited Winter Magic series. The first one came out in 2019 when 12,000 units were released for sale with the reference 14703.71. This model is on a white Celador base customized with this winter design with little trees, stars, snowflakes, little bird here, a golden clasp here, this red thing coming out of here, I don't know if it's the tail of a fox or what, more little trees. And it's a limited series that is not numbered, as we are used to with the Victorinox, who could have worked a little harder, to be honest. Here we don't have any engraving with the series number, nor is the blade laser engraved as it has been done on other occasions. It's a bit basic, but quite cool. I like it. To be precise, yes, they are usually for sale brand new. I bought this one on Amazon not long ago. Hey, I have to apologize because for two reasons. One, my natural disorder, and the other, the influence of the illustrious Manuelito. I can't show you the packaging, which was white with a transparent front, and the pendant eye, which in this case was a star-shaped pendant. Come on, the next one comes out in 2022 and it's made of walnut wood. Pal, European walnut with a winter design. With snowflakes, lots of snowflakes everywhere. A little tree and a deer's head. I don't know if you can see it well. The head and the horns. And on the back we repeat more snowflakes. And another head to close the head and the horns. We also repeat in the lack of numbering and in the lack of engraving on the sheet. In this case, the box was already different. Hey, it was a cardboard box with black foam. I think I remember, like cardboard in the middle. I don't remember if it's bad in my memory. And a pendant, which in this case was a snowflake-shaped pendant. It was a more limited edition since they were reduced to 10,000 units and the serial number was 14701.63. E1. Well, I hope you liked it. I like this one, but with the wood it's a gamble. The truth is that when it arrived, I was a little upset because it won't be very noticeable on camera, but the wood tones are different on the grips. This one is more crisp. This one is more grayish, darker. This one is lighter. The history of the Victorinox Super Tinker would begin in the same decade as the Hiker, as the Tinker, all of which have a Phillips screwdriver, but here's the oddity. It wouldn't have appeared in the catalog until 1959. The rest had come out in '52. This one would come out 7 years later. This comes from the Elsinnox website, the one I respect most. The name it would have come out with is the 135U. And you know the one because it has a Phillips screwdriver. If I had cork here, it would be 235, because it is the model of the basic tools plus scissors and the U, because at that time, instead of having a ring, it had a stirrup as a bail. So the name was 135. It did not come with toothpicks or tweezers. It was not until 1970 that the 135AU appeared. That lowercase a, that means it has a toothpick and tweezers. But by 1973, it would already have the name Super Tinker. The first special edition came out for Canada. For the distributor is Miko, and it would be the bear from that wildlife series. There would be no other edition until 2019 when the little bird that Aitor showed came out, Then the deer would come out in 2022, and the last special edition of the Super Tinker would be the one for Father's Day in Mexico, which is the Super Tinker Jade, of which only 5,000 units were made. This series would come with a keychain with a cover and a very spectacular color on the handles. You can watch this video on my friend Mauricio Navajas Suizas, Mexico's channel. And the Victorinox Super Tinker is still in the catalog. Now, I don't know if any astute person wondered, Juan, and having scissors, didn't it have the long nail file that we collectors like so much? The vintage ones with the long nail file? The answer is no. The one that did have a long nail file is the 84, which is the Victorinox Salesman, and you can see it in this